Today, can you picture 1 billion people playing Xbox? What would it smell like? This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. It's a tickle to be back on the show again, and if we play our cards right, no one will ever know.
Ever know what, exactly?
You see? I knew it.
Knew what?
Terrifying, isn't it? If you'd said they pulled me out of cold storage just to do a report on Dreamcast news, you'd be right. Windows CE Community Edition is a full Windows desktop environment for the Sega Dreamcast. Compatible with Windows CE is what the label on the console says, but what that's meant practically has been nebulous. Traditionally, developers could take advantage of the Windows CE Toolkit platform, providing a modular code base targeting both the PC and the Dreamcast. APIs for graphics, controllers, storage, and sound were included to make development familiar between the platforms. In fact, the Windows CE stack was integral in developing iconic games for the system, such as Sega's Rally, Resident Evil, Virtua's Cop, and Densha's de Go's 2. What's new here is the full desktop windowing environment, with applications, file editing, and all you'd expect from a basic Microsoft Windows desktop environment, but on a Dreamcast. However, the act of forcing computer operating systems onto older gaming consoles isn't anything new. We've seen before Windows NT on a GameCube, macOS on a Wii, and the famously ancient PlayStation 2 lets you run Linux natively. But the Windows CE label on the Dreamcast made a promise to owners, and I'm proud to recognize the Dreamcast in committing to do what it said on the label. Take your rightful place of honor as a console that can run Windows CE, Dreamcast, right alongside the Nintendo 64, which did so back in May.
In an email to her team, newly minted Xbox CEO Asha Sharma announced Monday that she would be laying off 3,200 people. 1,600 of those layoffs would be immediate, and another 1,600 to follow sometime in the next year, presumably to keep the survivors on their toes. Sharma was previously the president of Microsoft's Core AI until the surprise retirement of Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer and the simultaneous resignation of Xbox president Sarah Bond in February. Chad, is it ever good when your CEO announces on Friday that he's retiring on Monday and the next obvious successor also dips? The scale of these layoffs has been extensively reported elsewhere, with specific attention paid to the layoff of people like Bethesda senior character artist Christiane Meister, a 27-year studio veteran whose work included the design and implementation of the Khajiit and Argonians. Another notable loss is roughly half of id Software, cutting the legendary studio down to what has been called support studio size. In her email, Sharma said, quote, "Today's decisions do not reflect their talent or dedication." Yeah, no shit. Look, it's important to remember that anything a CEO says that isn't filed with the American Securities and Exchange Commission is vapid. Video game studios aren't acquired by entities like Microsoft to make video games, and they're evidently not acquired to make money, because otherwise you wouldn't fire half of id. They're acquired to enhance shareholder value, which is frequently proportional to money, but their exact relationship can only be scruted by people who matter. The line needs to go up faster than it already was, because as she says, it was going up. Sharma wants Xbox to be a company that entertains 1 billion people per day. Sure, you need 100 Minecrafts, not cannibalizing each other's player base, and to sell 5 times as many consoles as you've ever sold. Notably, Sharma's pretty careful to avoid saying 1 billion people playing games on an Xbox. Entertainment could mean basically anything, but it probably means nothing. You also need people to make that entertainment and hardware to run it. No problems there. She's reducing management levels. We're not familiar with the structure of every one of these studios, but a manager can refer to many different positions and levels of responsibility. Meister was probably somebody who mentored and coordinated the work of a lot of devs and artists. Is that manager coded enough to lose her job? I guess? Sharma also points out that none of Xbox's first-party games are being cancelled, which may or may not be true. But if it is, those games will need to be completed by fewer devs with less resources. We're not even going to comment on requiring id to use the Unreal Engine, which is not how anyone expected that ancient gaming rivalry to end. If you take away anything from this letter, it should be that it doesn't even bother to lie about a plan. All the layoffs and autonomizings are being done as optimistic knob fiddling. There's no vision on display. There's not even one being alluded to. There's only a hope that if you cut enough people, investors and their billions will be entertained.
The Moonguard World of Warcraft server briefly experienced an out-of-control viral plague this week. A glitch caused the Withering Contagion debuff from Brackenhide Hollow to escape containment inside the dungeon and spread throughout the server, infecting players as far away as the city of Stormwind. Affected players emit dark green bilous goo that deals 23,360 nature damage and spreads the infection. If that sounds familiar, yes, your friends warned you about your ex long before you noticed how bilous and gooey they've always been. Fortunately for Moonguard players hoping to actually play WoW this week, the Withering Contagion outbreak has been contained with a hotfix patch after a few hours, unlike the last time this happened. The infamous Corrupted Blood debuff of 2005 was similarly intended to only affect players raiding against Hakar the Blood God, but a glitch allowed the debuff to break out of the dungeon and spread across Azeroth. It took almost a month to patch and killed over 4 million players across multiple servers. The spread of the Corrupted Blood sickness was even studied by epidemiologists, seeking to learn more about the spread of real disease among humans by evaluating the virtual epidemic. Keep that in mind the next time real life tries to pressure you out of your crucial work that is checking your auctions and collecting crafting reagents.
The Pokemon Company has announced a collaboration with J.League, where all 60 teams will be assigned their own Pokemon with special merch to give away to lucky fans. And I'm not trying to be a downer, but I wonder at their specific choices, is all. Some of these Pokemon feel like they belong on a uniform or in a logo, like this one or this one. Good, fierce creatures, excellent for sport. Others may not be intimidating, but at least they look like the ball that's being kicked around. And yes, some of the teams are on point. Roaso Kumamoto has a wild horse in their logo. Their assigned Pokemon? Rapidash. Jeff United Chiba has a dog on their red, yellow, and green colors, so they get the yellow and green Boltund. Even Kamatamari Sanuki, with its bowl of what I'm assuming is udon, get Tangrowth. But why do the Kashima Antlers, a team named after a body part of an elk, have Dragonite? Kochi United SC, you have a leaping fish in your logo. Why did you pass on Magikarp and opt for Great Uncle Gerald instead? FC Ryukyu, your logo is literally just the head of a Shisa, which makes sense. You're in Okinawa, whose ambassadorial Pokemon is Growlithe. Your Pokemon Center mascot is Arcanine. The Hisuian forms are even red, like your team colors. So please, tell me, why the hell did they give you Mantine instead? And I cannot fathom why Zweigen Kanazawa, with their Quebecois-inspired fleur-de-lis, ended up with Staraptor, instead of the much more thematically appropriate Poutini from the Tabernac region. I take great solace in knowing that at the very least, none of them were chosen because they were fuckable. Okay, one.
Whew, busy week.
I prefer to think of it as, I didn't have to stay up until 3 a.m. to write everything.
Drinks after this?
After?
Ooh.
Coming up, in Europe, the Nintendo Switch 2 is getting a new hardware revision thanks to battery replacement laws. Which is better than outside of Europe, where laws are just being replaced with battery. Ian's not here because he had to go, but thanks to Ian for coming out. Cameron wrote the Xbox story, and Nelson wrote the World of Warcraft story, and Ian wrote the Dreamcast story, and I wrote the story about Pokemon because that's how we all roll. It was a lot of fun this week. Everybody is off because they're going to MagicCon Amsterdam, and if you are in Europe and you want to go to MagicCon Amsterdam to run into people, that's where they are. Is you can go do that. Go search the web. You'll find a place to buy tickets and do all that kind of stuff. You can also catch us do CheckPoint here with Paul and Heather and myself. We do that on Fridays at starting at 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you want to support what we do, Patreon's a great way to do it. Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Otherwise, you can back us on the YouTube channel on LR Video Games. You can back us on Twitch. You can also go to the store at store.loadingreadyrun.com. And everybody who's backed us on the LR Video Games channel, your names are going to come up right now. See you later.
Today, can you picture one people?
Yeah.
One people.
But like a really big people.
Yeah, he's huge.
Sharma was previously the president of Core AI, of Microsoft's Core AI.
Included to make development for them.
Sometime in the new year. Next year. In the next year. Not the new year, Beej. In the next year. Autonomizing